Maya had never thought of herself as anything special. She was just another face in the crowd, living a life that looked pretty ordinary from the outside. Every morning at 5:30, her alarm would go off, and she'd drag herself out of bed to start another long day. By 6:15, she was already behind the counter at the neighborhood cafe, making coffee for people who barely looked up from their phones to say thank you. The work wasn't glamorous, but it paid some of the bills. The smell of fresh coffee and baking pastries had become so familiar that she barely noticed it anymore. After her shift ended at noon, Maya would rush across town to the community college where she was taking classes. Business administration, nothing fancy. She'd dropped out of her 4-year university 2 years ago when everything changed at home. Now she was just trying to piece together an education however she could, one class at a time, fitting it all around work and everything else. But the hardest part of her day always came in the evening. That's when she'd come home to take care of her mom. 2 years ago, her mother had gotten sick. Not the kind of sick where you take some medicine and feel better in a week. The kind that settles in and doesn't leave. The kind that turns your whole world upside down and demands every ounce of strength you have. Her mom used to be the strong one, the person everyone in the family turned to when things got tough. She'd raised Maya and her younger brother mostly on her own, working 2 jobs and still somehow finding time to show up at every school event. But now their roles had reversed. Now Maya was the one making sure pills were taken on time, helping with things her mom used to do without thinking, and pretending everything was fine even when it felt like the walls were closing in. Music was the only thing that kept Maya sane. Not performing or anything like that, just singing to herself while washing dishes, humming in the car during her commute, playing her guitar in her tiny bedroom after her mom fell asleep. It was private, personal, something just for her. She'd written dozens of songs over the years, little melodies that helped her process everything she couldn't say out loud. Nobody heard them except her bedroom walls, and that's exactly how she liked it. On this particular Thursday evening, Maya was exhausted. It had been one of those weeks where everything felt heavier than usual. The medical bills were piling up again. She'd had to skip one of her classes because her mom had a doctor's appointment. The cafe had been understaffed, which meant she'd worked an extra shift on her feet for hours. All she wanted was to go home, heat up some leftovers, and maybe watch something mindless on TV before bed. But her best friend Lily had other ideas. "You're coming out with me tonight," Lily announced over the phone that afternoon. "No arguments. I can't, I'm tired, and my mom needs—" "Your brother's there tonight, right? He can handle things for a few hours. You need a break, Maya. You're going to burn out if you keep going like this." Maya wanted to argue, but Lily had a point. Her brother had agreed to stay with their mom for the evening. And honestly, Maya couldn't remember the last time she'd done something just for herself, something that wasn't work or school or caregiving. "Fine," she finally agreed, "but nothing crazy. I need to be home by 10. Perfect. There's this open mic thing at the Velvet Room. We'll just grab coffee, listen to some music, totally chill." The Velvet Room was a small venue downtown that Maya had passed 100 times but never actually entered. From the outside, it looked cozy, the kind of place where struggling artists and poetry lovers gathered to share their work with whoever would listen. The kind of place that felt intimidating if you weren't part of that world. When they arrived around 7:30, the place was already packed. Small tables crowded the space, and a tiny stage sat at one end with a single microphone stand and a few instruments propped against the wall. The lighting was dim, the kind that made everyone look a little more mysterious than they actually were. They found a table near the back, and Maya settled in with her coffee, content to watch from a safe distance. The first performer was a college kid doing stand-up comedy. Some jokes landed, others didn't, but everyone clapped politely. Then came a poet with thick-rimmed glasses who read something about urban loneliness that was either profound or pretentious. Maya couldn't quite decide. A woman in her 40s sang a cover of an old folk song. A guy with a man bun performed spoken word about capitalism. A teenage girl played guitar, her hands shaking so badly that she messed up the chords, but the audience encouraged her anyway. It was sweet, watching people be brave enough to get up there and share something even if they weren't perfect. Maya found herself relaxing for the first time in days. This was nice. No responsibilities, no stress. Just sitting in a dim room listening to strangers pour their hearts out. She could feel the tension in her shoulders starting to ease. That's when Lily leaned over and whispered, "You should go up there." Maya nearly choked on her coffee. "What? No, absolutely not. Why not?" You're always singing at home. You've got a beautiful voice. That's completely different. That's just me messing around. This is..." Maya gestured toward the stage where a guy was now attempting to juggle while reciting poetry. "This is public, so what? Everyone here is just trying something. Look at juggling poetry, guy. You're definitely more talented than him. I don't even have my guitar. They have instruments. See?" Lily pointed to the acoustic guitar leaning against the stage. "Come on. When's the last time you did something for yourself? Something that wasn't about work or school or taking care of everyone else?" Maya felt her stomach twist. The idea of getting up in front of all these people made her want to run straight out the door. She'd never performed in front of anyone except her bathroom mirror. What if she forgot the words? What if her voice cracked? What if people laughed? But then she thought about her mom at home, about how her mom used to encourage her to be brave, to try new things even when they scared her. She thought about all those songs she'd written in secret, stories she'd never told anyone. Maybe Lily was right. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. "If I do this," Maya said slowly, "and I completely humiliate myself, you're never allowed to mention it again. Deal?" Lily's face lit up. "Deal, but you won't humiliate yourself. Trust me." Before she could change her mind, Maya stood up and walked toward the sign-up sheet near the stage. Her hand trembled as she wrote her name. The letters looked shaky and uncertain, just like she felt. She sat back down and immediately started second-guessing everything. What was she thinking? She wasn't a performer. She was just a tired 23-year-old who sang in her bedroom. This was a mistake, but it was too late now. Her name was on the list, and with each performer who took the stage, she was getting closer to a moment that would change everything. The next 20 minutes felt like the longest of Maya's life. She sat there watching performer after performer take the stage, and with each one, her anxiety grew stronger. Her palms were sweating. Her heart was beating so fast she wondered if other people could hear it. "I can't do this," she whispered to Lily. "I'm going to tell them to skip me." "You're not backing out now," Lily said firmly, but her eyes were kind. "Look, the worst thing that happens is you sing a song and sit back down. That's it, 5 minutes of your life. You can handle 5 minutes." Maya wanted to believe her, but her mind was spinning with all the ways this could go wrong. What if she froze up there? What if her voice came out all shaky and weak? What if someone recorded it and posted it online and it became one of those videos people shared to make fun of? A man with a harmonica finished his performance. Then a woman did a dramatic monologue from a play Maya didn't recognize. Each person who left the stage brought her one step closer to her turn, and she felt like she might actually throw up. "Maya?" The host, a guy in his 30s with a friendly smile, called her name while looking around the room. For a second, Maya considered just staying quiet, pretending she'd already left. But Lily gave her a gentle push, and somehow her legs started moving. She walked toward the stage, feeling like she was floating outside her own body, watching herself do something completely insane. The 3 steps up to the stage felt like climbing a mountain. The lights were brighter than she'd expected, making it hard to see the faces in the audience. Maybe that was a good thing. She approached the microphone, and her hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the stand just to keep steady. Hi," she said, and her voice came out smaller than she'd intended. Someone in the back yelled, "We can't hear you," and a few people laughed, not meanly, just acknowledging the awkwardness of the moment. Maya adjusted the microphone, bringing it closer. "Sorry, hi, I'm Maya." A few people called back "Hi Maya" in that supportive way audiences do at open mic nights, trying to make nervous performers feel welcome. It helped a little. She walked over to grab the acoustic guitar that was PR. The next 20 minutes felt like the longest of Maya's life. She sat there watching performer after performer take the stage, and with each one her anxiety grew stronger. Her palms were sweating. Her heart was beating so fast she wondered if other people could hear it. "I can't do this," she whispered to Lily. "I'm going to tell them to skip me." "You're not backing out now?" Lily said firmly, but her eyes were kind. "Look, the worst thing that happens is you sing a song and sit back down. That's it, 5 minutes of your life. You can handle 5 minutes. Maya wanted to believe her, but her mind was spinning with all the ways this could go wrong. What if she froze up there? What if her voice came out all shaky and weak? What if someone recorded it and posted it online, and it became one of those videos people shared to make fun of? A man with a harmonica finished his performance. Then a woman did a dramatic monologue from a play Maya didn't recognize. Each person who left the stage brought her one step closer to her turn, and she felt like she might actually throw up. Maya, the host, a guy in his 30s with a friendly smile, called her name while looking around the room. For a second, Maya considered just staying quiet, pretending she'd already left. But Lily gave her a gentle push, and somehow her legs started moving. She walked toward the stage, feeling like she was floating outside her own body, watching herself do something completely insane. The 3 steps up to the stage felt like climbing a mountain. The lights were brighter than she'd expected, making it hard to see the faces in the audience. Maybe that was a good thing. She approached the microphone, and her hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the stand just to keep steady. Hi, she said, and her voice came out smaller than she'd intended. Someone in the back yelled, "We can't hear you," and a few people laughed, not meanly, just acknowledging the awkwardness of the moment. Maya adjusted the microphone, bringing it closer. "Sorry. Hi. I'm Maya." A few people called back, "Hi, Maya," in that supportive way audiences do at open mic nights, trying to make nervous performers feel welcome. It helped a little. She walked over to grab the acoustic guitar that was propped against the wall. It wasn't hers, and it felt strange in her hands. She sat down on the stool they had there and adjusted the guitar on her lap, buying herself a few more seconds before she had to actually perform. "So, I've never done this before," she admitted, and she heard some encouraging applause. "I wrote this song for my mom. It's nothing fancy, just something I've been working on. It's just a simple song for my mom." She didn't tell them why she wrote it. She didn't explain about the hospital visits or the nights she'd stayed awake worrying, or how sometimes she felt like she was drowning in responsibility at an age when her friends were still figuring out what they wanted to do with their lives. She didn't mention that her mom couldn't be here tonight, that her mom barely left the house anymore unless it was for doctor's appointments. Maya took a deep breath and started strumming. Her fingers found the chords she'd practiced 1,000 times in her bedroom, and then she began to sing. The first few words came out shaky, and she almost stopped right there. But something told her to keep going, so she did. By the second line, her voice started to steady. By the third, she forgot about the audience entirely. The song was simple, like she'd said. Just her voice and the guitar. No fancy production or complicated arrangement, but the words came from somewhere deep inside her, from a place she usually kept locked away. She sang about watching someone you love struggle and not being able to fix it, about feeling helpless and exhausted but showing up anyway, about finding strength in small moments, like the way her mom still smiled when Maya brought her tea in the morning, or how she'd pat Maya's hand and say, "I'm proud of you, baby," even on the hardest days. The lyrics weren't poetic or clever. They were just honest, raw, real. She sang about sacrifices that went unnoticed and love that didn't need to be spoken out loud to be understood. She sang about being 23 and feeling 40, about putting dreams on hold without resentment because some things matter more than ambition. As she played, something strange happened. The background noise in the room disappeared. The clinking of coffee cups stopped. The whispered conversations faded away. Even the bartender paused what he was doing. Maya didn't notice at first. She was too lost in the song, her eyes closed, pouring out feelings she'd been holding inside for 2 years. This was why she wrote music in the first place, for this release. This ability to say things through melody that she could never say in regular conversation. The guitar felt right in her hands now, like it belonged there. Her voice grew stronger, more confident. This wasn't about being perfect or impressive. This was about telling her truth, and somehow that made all the nervousness disappear. When she reached the final verse, her voice cracked slightly on the line about wishing she could take away her mother's pain. It wasn't intentional, just emotion breaking through. But that crack, that moment of vulnerability, made the song even more powerful. She strummed the last chord and let it ring out until it faded to silence. Only then did she open her eyes. The room was completely quiet. Not a sound. Maya's heart sank. Oh no. It was worse than she'd thought. She'd bombed so badly that people didn't even know how to react. She should have listened to her instincts and stayed home. She started to stand up, ready to mumble an apology and rush off the stage as quickly as possible. But before she could move, something happened. One person started clapping, then another. Then suddenly the entire room erupted into applause. Not polite, obligatory clapping. Real applause. Loud and sustained. People were standing up. Actually standing. Maya looked around in confusion. wondering if maybe someone famous had walked in behind her. But no, they were looking at her. Some people were wiping their eyes. A woman in the front row was openly crying. Maya stood there frozen, the guitar still in her hands, completely overwhelmed. This couldn't be real. She'd just sung a simple song about her mom. She hadn't done anything special. She certainly hadn't expected this. The host came over and put a hand on her shoulder. "That was beautiful," he said into his own microphone so everyone could hear. "Let's hear it one more time for Maya, everyone." Another wave of applause. Maya carefully put the guitar back and walked off the stage on legs that didn't feel quite stable. Her whole body was shaking now, but for a different reason than before. As she made her way back to her table, people reached out to touch her arm, to smile at her, to nod in appreciation. A man about her dad's age stopped her and said, "That reminded me of my own mother. Thank you." A young woman grabbed her hand and squeezed it without saying anything, tears streaming down her face. Maya finally reached Lily, who was crying and laughing at the same time. "I told you," Lily said, pulling her into a hug. "I told you that you were amazing." But Maya barely heard her. She was still trying to process what had just happened, trying to understand why a simple song about her mom had affected all these strangers so deeply. Maya sat back down at her table, but she couldn't stop shaking. Her hands were trembling so much that she had to put them in her lap. The applause had finally died down, and another performer was setting up on stage. But Maya couldn't focus on anything except the pounding of her own heart. "Are you okay?" Lily asked, still grinning from ear to ear. "I don't know," Maya said honestly. "What just happened?" "You were incredible, that's what happened. I've been telling you for years that you had something special, but you never believed me." Maya shook her head. "I just sang a song. It wasn't anything special. I messed up some of the chords and my voice cracked at the end." "That's what made it perfect," Lily said. "It was real. Everyone in this room could feel it." Before Maya could respond, a woman approached their table. She looked to be in her 50s, with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a bun. Without saying anything, she reached out and pulled Maya into a hug. Maya stiffened at first, confused by this stranger's embrace, but then relaxed into it. When the woman pulled back, her eyes were wet with tears. "My daughter stopped talking to me 3 years ago," she said softly. "We had a fight about something stupid, and she just cut me out of her life. Listening to your song, hearing how much you love your mother, it made me think maybe there's still hope for us. Maybe she doesn't hate me as much as I thought." She squeezed Maya's hand once more and walked away before Maya could find words to respond. Maya watched her go, feeling a strange mix of emotions she couldn't quite name. "See?" Lily said gently. "That's the power of what you just did." More people came over throughout the next half hour. A young guy in his 20s who told her his mom had passed away last year, and hearing Maya's song brought back all the good memories. An older man who said he'd been taking care of his wife who had dementia, and Maya's lyrics about showing up every day even when it's hard really hit home. A college student who admitted she'd been taking her own mother for granted and was going to call her first thing in the morning. Each person shared a piece of their story, and Maya realized that her simple song about her own experience had somehow unlocked something in all these strangers. They saw themselves in her words, found their own pain and love reflected back at them. A guy around her age approached with a business card. "Hey, I don't want to be weird or anything, but I work for the local college radio station. We do a segment featuring local artists. Would you be interested in coming on the show? Maybe playing a few songs, doing a short interview?" Maya took the card, still feeling like she was in a dream. "I'm not really an artist. I just write songs in my bedroom." He smiled. "Well, after tonight, you might want to reconsider that. Think about it, okay? My number's on the card." After he left, Maya looked down at the card in her hand. She'd never thought of herself as someone who would be on the radio. That was for real musicians, people who knew what they were doing, not exhausted cafe workers who wrote songs between shifts. "You should do it," Lily said. "I don't know, it feels like too much. Tonight was already overwhelming. Just think about it. You don't have to decide right now." They stayed for another hour, watching the rest of the performers, but Maya couldn't fully concentrate. Her mind kept replaying the moment on stage. The silence before the applause. The faces of the people who'd shared their stories with her afterward. It all felt surreal. Around 9:30, Maya checked her phone and saw several missed calls from her brother. Panic immediately flooded her system. She quickly called him back. "Hey, is everything okay? Is Mom all right?" She's fine," her brother said quickly. "Don't freak out, but you need to check your messages. Someone at the Velvet Room was streaming the open mic night on social media, and your performance is getting shared around." Maya felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean, shared around?" "Like, a lot of people are watching it, and someone sent the link to Mrs. Chen next door, and she showed it to Mom." Oh no. Maya closed her eyes. She hadn't wanted her mom to see her like that, so vulnerable and emotional. What if it upset her? What if it made her feel guilty for being sick? "Maya, she's not upset. She's actually really happy. She wants to talk to you when you get home. She's been crying, but like, in a good way. She keeps saying how proud she is." Maya felt tears spring to her own eyes. "Really? Really? You should have seen her face when she recognized your voice. It was like watching her light up. She's been having a rough week, you know? But this made her smile bigger than I've seen in months." After hanging up, Maya sat there processing this new information. Her mother had seen her perform. The thought was both terrifying and wonderful at the same time. "Everything okay?" Lily asked. "My mom saw it. Someone was streaming the open mic, and the video found its way to her somehow. And she's happy, I guess. My brother said she was crying." Lily squeezed her shoulder. "Of course she's happy. You wrote a beautiful song about her and performed it in front of strangers. Any mother would be touched by that." On the drive home, Maya's phone kept buzzing with notifications. Messages from people she barely knew saying they'd seen the video. Old friends from high school reaching out to say how talented she was. Even her manager from the cafe sent a text saying she'd had no idea Maya could sing like that. Maya didn't know how to feel about all this attention. Part of her was embarrassed that something so personal had been shared so widely. But another part felt a strange sense of relief, like she'd been carrying this heavy weight around and had finally been able to set it down, even just for a moment. When she got home, the house was quiet. Her brother met her at the door. "She's in her room, still awake. She's been waiting for you." Maya walked down the hallway and gently pushed open her mother's bedroom door. The lamp on the nightstand cast a soft glow across the room. Her mom was propped up on pillows, looking tired but alert, her phone resting on her lap. "There's my superstar," her mom said, her voice weak but warm. Maya came and sat on the edge of the bed. "I'm sorry if the song made you uncomfortable. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. Uncomfortable?" Her mother reached out and took Maya's hand. "Baby, that was the most beautiful thing anyone's ever done for me. I had no idea you felt that way. I had no idea you were carrying so much. I'm okay, Mom, I promise. I know you are. You're stronger than I ever was at your age. But Maya, you don't have to keep it all inside. You're allowed to express how you feel. And if that's through music, then you should do more of it." It was just one song at an open mic night. Her mother smiled. "Maybe. But I saw your face in that video. I saw you come alive up there. That's not something you should hide away. That's something special." They sat together in comfortable silence for a while, her mother still holding her hand. Finally, her mom spoke again. "Promise me something?" "What?" "Promise me you won't give up on your music, even when things get hard, even when you're tired. Keep singing, okay?" Maya felt tears rolling down her cheeks. "I promise." "Good. Now tell me everything about tonight. I want to hear all of it." So Maya told her. About how nervous she was, about the silence before the applause, about all the people who came up to her afterward. Her mother listened to every word, smiling the whole time, looking more alive than she had in weeks. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt like maybe, just maybe, she'd done something right. The next morning, Maya woke up to her phone buzzing constantly. She'd forgotten to silence it before falling asleep, exhausted from the emotions of the previous night. Squinting at the screen, she saw dozens of notifications. Comments on the video, friend requests from strangers, messages from people she hadn't talked to in years. The video of her performance had been viewed thousands of times overnight. Thousands. Maya sat up in bed, her heart racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. She'd sung one song at a tiny open mic night. How had it spread so far so fast? She scrolled through some of the comments. Most were kind, saying things like, "This made me cry," or "Her voice is so pure," or "Everyone needs to hear this." But there were other comments too, the kind that made her stomach turn. People criticizing her guitar playing, saying she was just looking for attention, claiming the emotion was fake for views. Maya closed the app and put her phone face down on her nightstand. She didn't know how to handle this level of attention. Yesterday she was invisible. Today people were debating her talent and intentions in comment sections. She got ready for her morning shift at the cafe, moving through her routine on autopilot. But when she arrived at work, things felt different. Her coworker Amy practically jumped on her the moment she walked through the door. "Oh my God, Maya, I saw the video. You were amazing. Why didn't you ever tell us you could sing like that?" "It's not a big deal," Maya said, tying her apron. "It was just one song. Not a big deal. Girl, you made half the internet cry last night. People are sharing it everywhere." Throughout her shift, customers who were regulars started treating her differently. Some asked for selfies. Others wanted to know if she was going to pursue music professionally. One woman left a $20 tip on a $5 coffee and told Maya she had a gift from God. Maya appreciated the kindness, but it all felt overwhelming. She didn't want to be known as that girl from the viral video. She was still just Maya, still the same person who burnt toast sometimes and worried about paying bills. When her shift ended, she checked her messages and saw one from the guy who'd given her his card at the Velvet Room. "Hey, hope this isn't too forward, but our radio show would love to have you on next week if you're available. Interest in your music is really high right now. This could be a great opportunity." Maya stared at the message for a long time. Part of her wanted to say yes to ride this unexpected wave and see where it led. But another part was terrified. What if she got on the radio and froze? What if this was just a fluke, and she couldn't replicate whatever magic had happened that night? She decided to focus on something more manageable first. That evening at the Velvet Room, they were having another open mic night. Maya had promised herself she'd go back, if only to prove that the first time wasn't a one-time accident. Lily picked her up around 7. "You sure you want to do this again? You could probably take a break after everything that happened." "I need to know if it was real," Maya said. "If I can actually do this or if I just got lucky once." The Velvet Room was more crowded than usual. Word had gotten around that the girl from the video might show up. Maya felt self-conscious walking in, noticing people whispering and pointing. The host spotted her immediately and waved her over. "Maya, so glad you came back. Want to go on first? Everyone's hoping you'll sing." "Actually, can I go later? I want to watch some other performers first." She found a table with Lily and tried to relax, but it was hard to focus on the other acts when she could feel eyes on her the whole time. People kept glancing over, probably wondering what she'd perform if she'd live up to the viral moment. When her turn finally came, Maya walked to the stage with her own guitar this time. She'd spent the afternoon practicing, making sure she was as prepared as possible. The crowd quieted immediately, giving her their full attention. "Hi everyone," she said into the microphone. "Thanks for being here. I'm going to play something different tonight. This one's called Small Victories." It was a song she'd written a few months ago about finding joy in tiny moments, the little things that keep you going when everything feels hard. A good cup of coffee, a funny text from a friend, the way sunlight looks coming through the kitchen window in the morning. As she played, Maya felt herself relaxing into it. This was why she loved music, not for the attention or the views, but for this feeling of expressing something true and having it connect with people. The song was more upbeat than the one she'd sung before, and she could see people nodding along, smiling. When she finished, the applause was warm and genuine. Not the overwhelming standing ovation from before, but something more sustainable, more real, and somehow that felt even better. It meant she wasn't just a one-hit wonder, wasn't just that one emotional song. She had more to offer. After her set, Maya stayed to watch the other performers, making a point to clap loudly and encourage them the way the audience had encouraged her. a teenage boy who was clearly nervous, a middle-aged woman trying comedy for the first time, an elderly man reading poetry about his late wife. During a break, a woman in her 30s approached Maya's table. She had a professional air about her, dressed nicer than most people at the venue. "Hi Maya, I'm Rachel. I run a small production company here in town. We work with local artists, help them record demos, book gigs, that kind of thing. I saw your video and then I heard you tonight and I'd love to talk to you about possibly working together." She handed Maya a business card. "I know this is all very new for you and I don't want to pressure you, but I think you have something really special. Not just your voice, but your songwriting. The authenticity. That's rare. Give me a call if you're interested in exploring what this could become." After Rachel left, Maya looked at the card, then at Lily. "This is getting weird, right? Like this doesn't happen to normal people?" Lily laughed. "Maybe you're not as normal as you thought. Maybe you've been special this whole time and just didn't know it." On the drive home, Maya felt different than she had the night before. Less overwhelmed, more grounded. She was starting to understand that the attention wasn't about her being perfect or even particularly talented. It was about her being honest. People responded to authenticity, to vulnerability, to someone willing to share their real feelings instead of pretending everything was fine. When she got home, her mother was asleep, but her brother was in the living room watching TV. He looked up when she came in. "How'd it go tonight?" "Good," Maya said. "Really good, actually. I think I'm starting to figure this out." "Figure what out?" "How to do this without losing myself in it. How to share my music without letting it become something it's not." Her brother smiled. "That's pretty wise for someone who just went viral." Maya laughed. "I'm trying." Before going to bed, she looked at the 2 business cards she'd received. The radio station guy and the production company woman. Both opportunities that would have seemed impossible just days ago. She didn't know what she'd decide, didn't know where any of this was heading, but she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't going to stop singing, not now. Not when she was just starting to understand the power her music could have, not just for others, but for herself too. She picked up her guitar and quietly strummed a few chords, careful not to wake her mother. A new melody was forming in her mind, words starting to take shape. Another song, another story, another piece of herself to share with the world, and this time, she wasn't afraid. 3 weeks after that first performance, Maya sat in a small recording booth, headphones on, guitar in her lap. She'd called Rachel from the production company, and after several conversations, decided to record a few songs. Nothing fancy, just clean recordings of the music she'd been creating in her bedroom for years. It felt strange being in a professional studio, even if it was a small local one. There were no more medical bills piled on her kitchen counter here, no reminders of her mother's illness in the next room. Just her, the music, and a sound engineer named Tom who seemed genuinely excited about her work. "Whenever you're ready," Tom said through the intercom. Maya took a deep breath and started playing. The song was one she'd written just last week, inspired by everything that had happened. It was about unexpected moments that change your life, about being brave when you don't feel brave at all, about discovering parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Her voice came through clear and strong. She wasn't perfect. She hit a few notes slightly off and her timing wavered once or twice, but Tom didn't make her redo it. "That was beautiful," he said when she finished. "The imperfections make it human. Don't lose that." Life hadn't suddenly become easy. Maya still worked at the cafe every morning. The bills still came. Her mother still had good days and bad days, though lately there seemed to be more good ones. Maya had started to wonder if her mom's improvement had less to do with medicine and more to do with having something to feel proud about, something to look forward to. She'd said yes to the radio interview and it had gone better than expected. The host was kind, asking about her music and her story without making it feel exploitative. They played 3 of her songs, and afterward, her phone had blown up with messages from people saying they'd heard her on the radio, that they'd been driving to work or cooking dinner, and her voice had come through their speakers. The coffee shop where she worked had started letting her play acoustic sets on Saturday afternoons. Nothing big, just an hour of music while customers enjoyed their drinks. But people started coming specifically for those sets, and the owner was thrilled with the extra business. Maya wasn't making a living from music. Not yet, maybe not ever. But that wasn't the point anymore. She'd realized something important over these past few weeks. Success didn't mean quitting her day job or getting famous or signing a record deal. Success meant having an outlet for her feelings, meant connecting with people through shared experiences, meant making her mother smile. One Saturday afternoon, after finishing her set at the cafe, a woman around her mother's age approached her. "My daughter sent me your video," she said. "The one from the Velvet Room. We haven't spoken in 2 years. But after she sent that to me, she included a message saying she missed me. We've been talking every day since then." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know if you understand what your music did. You didn't just sing a song. You reminded my daughter that family is worth fighting for. You gave us a bridge back to each other." Maya hugged this stranger, both of them crying in the middle of the crowded cafe. This was the thing she hadn't expected about sharing her music publicly. It wasn't just about her anymore. Her songs had become mirrors for other people, reflecting their own pain and love and hope back at them. That evening, Maya came home to find her mother sitting at the kitchen table, which was unusual. Most days her mom stayed in bed or on the couch, conserving energy. But tonight she was up, dressed in regular clothes instead of pajamas, and she'd made dinner. "Mom, you didn't have to do this," Maya said, worried that she'd overexerted herself. "I wanted to," her mother said. "I've been feeling stronger lately. My doctor even noticed it at my last appointment. And I think I know why." She gestured for Maya to sit down. "You gave me something to be excited about again. Every time you perform, every time you write a new song, I feel like I'm watching you bloom into who you were always meant to be. That gives me energy. That makes me want to fight harder." Maya felt tears threatening again. She'd cried more in the past month than she had in years, but these were different kinds of tears. Not the exhausted, frustrated tears she'd cried while doing laundry at midnight or reviewing medical bills. These were tears of connection, of gratitude, of feeling seen. "I wrote the songs because of you," Maya said, "because taking care of you taught me what real love looks like. It's not always pretty or easy. Sometimes it's exhausting and scary, but it's showing up anyway. That's what I wanted to capture." Her mother reached across the table and took her hand. "And you did. But now I need you to promise me something else." "What?" "Promise me you won't make your whole life about taking care of me. I see you turning down opportunities because you're worried about leaving me alone. Your brother told me you didn't want to do a show in the next town over because it would mean being gone for a whole evening." Maya looked down. "I just don't want you to feel abandoned. Baby, you could never abandon me. You've given me more than any mother could ask for, but now I need you to live your own life too. Say yes to the opportunities that scare you. Take chances, be young. I'll be fine, I promise. Your brother can handle things when you're gone. Mrs. Chen next door has already offered to check on me any time. But what if something happens and I'm not here?" Her mother squeezed her hand tighter. "Then something happens. But I don't want you to spend your whole life in waiting mode, putting everything on hold just in case. That's not living. And it's definitely not what I want for you." Over the next few weeks, Maya started saying yes more often. She booked a small show at a venue an hour away. She agreed to collaborate with another local musician on a song. She even started taking a songwriting class at the community college, something she'd wanted to do but kept putting off. The radio station asked her to come back for another interview, and this time they wanted her to play 5 songs instead of 3. A local festival reached out about having her perform on their small stage. Nothing huge, nothing life-changing, but each opportunity was a step forward. Her music wasn't going to save the world. She wasn't going to become famous or rich, but that had never been the point. The point was that she'd found her voice, literally and figuratively. She'd discovered that her experiences, her struggles, her love for her mother, all of it mattered. All of it was worth sharing. One night, about 2 months after that first performance, Maya was back at the Velvet Room for open mic night. It had become her regular Thursday evening routine. She performed a new song, one about hope and resilience, about finding light in dark places. When she finished, the applause was warm and familiar. These people knew her now. She wasn't a viral sensation or a one-time wonder. She was just Maya, someone who showed up every week to share honest songs about real life. After the show, a young girl, maybe 16, came up to her nervously. "I've been coming here for weeks trying to work up the courage to perform," she said. "But I was too scared. Then I watched you that first night, and I saw how nervous you were, but you did it anyway. So tonight I'm going to sign up, because if you can be brave, maybe I can too." Maya smiled and gave her an encouraging hug. "You're going to do great." Just remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real. As she watched the girl walk away to add her name to the list, Maya thought about how far she'd come. She was still tired most days. Money was still tight. Her mother still had bad days mixed in with the good ones. Life hadn't transformed into something easy or simple, but she had her music. She had her voice. She had proof that vulnerability could be powerful, that sharing your truth could help others find theirs. And she had her mother's proud smile every time she came home from a performance. That night, driving home with Lily, Maya felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Not happiness exactly, because life was still complicated, but something close to peace. The kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're meant to do. She'd started with just a simple song for her mom, but somehow that simple song had given her back herself.